Welcome to Now and Forever, a series of 10-minute reflections on good news spirituality, sponsored by the Charles and Catherine Free Family Foundation, headquartered in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and brought to you from Our Lady of Sacred Heart Parish here in Watertown, New York. With me is Pat Henry, member of the choir and the head of the confirmation class, and Vicki Phillips, also a member of the choir. Hi. So we're going to continue with this this whole reflection on culture and evangelization, and how secular humanism is a kind of a culture. It's a form of religion, even though maybe sometimes they say it is, sometimes they say it isn't. So Pat, how about lead us off with this Alexander Solzhenitsyn thing?
Well, we'll work on it. As principal speaker at an Ivy League graduation ceremony, Alexander Solzhenitsyn offered a sharp, detailed, yet sympathetic critique of Western culture. Initially, his analysis was given the respect rightfully due to the scholarly work of his great mind, a noble soul, and a caring heart. It didn't take long, however, for the so-called intelligentsia to change their tune. They dismissed his sentiments as old-fashioned and characterized him as a common scold. Their arrogance, in so doing, offered unintended proof that Solzhenitsyn's insights had been correct.
Yeah, see, that's well done. I like that. He was a great mind, a noble soul, and a caring heart.
Well, that's scary.
And his, his character, these guys just blew him off. First they were kind of impressed, but I remember this. I was around when that took place.
When would this have been?
1980s.
1980s?
Yeah. Well, let me go for the second paragraph and comment on that. Why had he seen truth with such clarity? Like his fellow Slav, John Paul II, he had experienced the evils of atheistic communism. Along with being an historian, he was a student of human behavior, and again, like the late Pope, he understood the workings of culture. Just as the scribes and Pharisees knew when Jesus leveled charges against them, the smug secular humanists knew Solzhenitsyn had them in mind when he spoke of the blindness of superiority, the peer pressure among the ruling class and the intellectual elite, and the moral ambivalence that comes with the lack of courage to take a stand. I mean, wow, that's powerful, I mean, boy, I tell you, people look at that. Okay, Vicki, what's the next paragraph here?
Solzhenitsyn's sharpest criticism was aimed at the prevailing Western view of the world, given birth in the Renaissance, politically come of age during the Enlightenment, and carried to its rationalistic conclusion by secular humanists in a proclaimed and enforced autonomy of man from any higher power. That's a long one.
Yeah.
Since this denial of God amounts to an
axiomatic
deification.
No, deification.
Deification.
Well, it might be the other two as well.
That's the
opposite. Yeah.
Humans are free to do whatever they choose, however monstrous that behavior may be.
See, now that is really...
You see that every day, right now.
Yeah.
You watch the news, you read the paper, you even hear it in conversation how people talk. That is the tipping point right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Solzhenitsyn, I think he hit the nail right on the head. And this is the... He said, what that axiomatic thing means, if I say there is no God, axiomatically, that means by principle, by the laws of logic, that makes me God. Because if there's no God, I'm God.
I'm the next guy.
Who else is God? You're not God, I'm God. And that's what he called. He said this is an axiomatic deification of man.
Axiomatic.
So, Vicki, you watching that clock for me this time?
Yeah, we got a lot of time.
We got enough time?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 6 minutes.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Sorry, now, for all of the other ills that Solzhenitsyn found in Western culture, atheistic humanism was its fatal flaw. It will not be mended by politics, better public schools, or more jails. There is a solution, bringing gospel values and truths into our everyday lives, families, and communities. This is called evangelization, transforming the culture and cultures of the world.
So I got a question though.
Yeah, right.
Because you referenced this being like around the 80s.
Yeah, that's around the 80s, yeah.
So that was quite a while ago, and it's only gotten worse since then.
Right.
It's like he predicted that.
Well, he did. He was a modern prophet. Solzhenitsyn, he's a great man. And he was just, he was holed up there, and he was exiled from Russia. And he was in New England, I think in Vermont, someplace up there.
New Hampshire, Vermont, yeah.
Somewhere up there. And he was here, he was eventually back, he went back to Russia after the fall of the wall and all that stuff. But he was, his whole message was lost on our intelligentsia. They were just, they're too proud. It's just, they couldn't accept what he was talking about. But all those criticisms that he made, I remember I should probably find that. I got a list of 20 comments he made, 20 comments that were very much to the mark. One of the things, for example, he says, the hastiness and superficiality is a psychic sickness of the 20th century. Hastiness and superficiality is a psychic sickness of the 20th century. Solzhenitsyn. And he's right. Hastiness is superficiality. You don't sit down and think. We don't reflect. We don't have time to really weigh judgments. We just, and it's a lot of times, sooner or later we'll get to the whole question of emotions, because emotions are really key in our definition. That's what makes us distinct from the animals and the angels. We have emotions. And it's not just feelings. Emotions have to come under the review of your intellect and say, is this a good emotion, is this a bad emotion? Is this going to be helpful to others, or is this going to be just my own need for self-gratification or whatever?
But it's also altered by your culture.
Of course.
So you're, it's the dog chasing the tail, I think.
Well, that's why he says it's not better politics, better schools, or more jails. You got to bring truths into our society. And the truth, that's the other big problem. Now today they say, what is truth? And they don't really understand there is such a thing as truth. And it's called like a consistency between reality and thought. In other words, I guess the best example is a straight arrow. If you have an arrow that's straight, it does what it's designed to do. It hits the target. But if it's not a straight arrow or a true arrow, it won't do what it's designed. Now, that it is true because the arrow is true because it's consistent with its purpose and design. It's designed to hit the target, and it does. And the same thing with a human being. What's our purpose and what's our design? Our purpose, we are designed to love. And that's what we're supposed to do. We are equipped to love. It is not easy, but that's what it's all about. You got this clock, is that watching? Are we right now?
We're okay.
We're okay. Okay, we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments, Pat, on this?
I think our third paragraph, though, when he talks about humans are free to do whatever they choose.
Oh, yeah.
However monstrous that behavior may be. Yeah. And we're seeing people, being excused. And I'm not using the word forgiven because that's not what they want. They're being excused with the violence out there today, in today's, cities, and in the culture of certain people, that this, I'm able to do this. I'm able to be a monster because you allowed it. First off, you created it. Okay, so now you have to allow me to be that monster. I mean, that's the culture that these people have been brought up in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean, actually, and they have. I don't know, how do you stop that? I mean, I know what we're going to say is that, by the evangelization will help that, but that's a horrible, insidious.
Well, yeah, but see, Pat, here's where I disagree with some people. They'll say we have this culture, this kind of monstrous culture. No, that's the lack of a culture. You can't have a culture that is just do what you please. Culture means you're cultivated. Like if you have a garden, you don't weed. You don't have a cultivated garden.
Well, you're cultivating weeds.
Yeah, you're cultivating weeds, and that's what we're doing in our culture, but that's not a culture. It's the absence of a culture. It's like, if you have an addiction, let's say you have an addiction to alcohol. Now, a lot of people go, well, there's a chemical imbalance and you need the alcohol. No, there's something missing in your life. When you, if you're unjust, it means you lack justice. If you're impatient, you lack patience. If you're unkind, you lack kindness. And same with an addiction. You're addicted to something because there's something missing, not because there's something that is there. And the same with our culture. When it's bad, it's not because it's a bad culture, it's because the culture isn't what it should be. And when you look at it from that point of view, then you may begin like Pat's saying, what are you gonna do about it? Well, you gotta put a culture in there where there is none.
So in
The
the,
actions.
like in the jails, we have the priests, or we have lay people going into the jails now and talking
Trying
to
to
the
inform them
inmates.
and bring them into an understanding of their identity and their purpose.
Right,
That's what it's all about. When you understand your identity and purpose, then you have a chance of forming the right culture and coming and working with others to good benefit of all. Okay, thanks very much for listening. We'll be back shortly with one more of these programs. Take care, God bless.